Tonight's episode is brought to you by the Be Real Podcast Network. For more episodes like this, go to BREELnetwork.com. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Movie Guys Podcast. I am Jordan, along here with Eric and Ed, and tonight we're going to have a special episode for you guys. It's our new show structure. For once in a while, we do something like this, and it's called Double Header, where two of the hosts have seen a movie, different movie, and they try to convince the other host to go see that movie. I have seen Dark Tower, and Eric has seen Detroit, and Ed has seen neither. So in this episode, we're going to try to convince him which movie he's going to end up go and see. So, Eric and Ed, how the hell have you guys been for the past week? You guys are doing good?
It's been rough.
Yeah, I will say this, Eric, that you're a little bit behind already because I'm sitting here watching the Pirates and Tigers, and Justin Verlander basically had a no-hitter through 5 2/3. Yeah, he had through 5 2/3, and as a half Pirate fan, half Cleveland Indians fan, I'm a little bit hurt by that. So you are already having an uphill battle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Tigers this season happen.
No, and Verlander's way down.
Yeah. This is a rebuild. We're doing a rebuild here, boys.
Yeah.
Trade them all, sell them all. Let's go get the money. Let's get it going. No, it's not movie related, but you know what? Like, have the Tigers? Oh wait, they've been in a movie before, haven't they?
The Indians have been in the greatest baseball movies of all time, the Major League franchise.
Yeah, that's been amazing.
Other than Bull Durham, I'll give Bull Durham. Yeah.
And that one. Obviously.
But yeah, but that's a period piece.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's nothing focusing around it. I get that. Yeah.
Right.
Shit. I mean, the Rockford Peaches were a better team.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The Durham Bulls, Bull Durham. It's a great baseball movie.
So the reason why, everybody, that we had decided to do this kind of episode is because sometimes, to give all you fans a little bit behind the scenes of what goes on to create Movie Guys Podcast, is, of course, myself and Eric and Ed, we have a Facebook Messenger feed, and we all talk to each other on this on a daily basis about everything that we need to talk about.
Every once in a while, Jordan sends dick pics. It's just uncomfortable.
They're testicle pics. Get it right. Second of all,
well, I couldn't tell. It looked like a button on a fur coat.
That's
nice. Oh my God! Did you sit in gum? What is it? I just want to play with it.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, moving on.
All right.
So anyway, what I do is every month I always send the guys the schedule about this is the movies that we're going to view every week that are coming out, and what have you. But we had a hard time this week because we had Detroit coming out and Dark Tower. Eric, of course, wants to see Detroit not only because he's in Detroit, but because it's a badass movie, and I'm going to give him that. Because I did go check out Detroit just to prepare myself a little bit for this. So I seen them both. I saw them both.
All right.
But I am a hardcore Stephen King fan just as much as a hardcore Alien fan. So I had to go see Dark Tower. And we just could not agree. And Ed was like, you know what? Fuck both of you. I ain't watching them. You know, suck his dick.
Well, I also have other obligations, and so I couldn't see two movies, and they both seem very interesting, and honestly, I just couldn't decide. So I'm glad we actually decided on a format like this because I want you guys to convince me, one of you to convince me to go spend my hard-earned money to go pick a movie. Because normally we have one a week, and then it's normally a consensus. But, a week like this where you have such a huge following in, like, Stephen King stories, you want to see them because you love the stories. And you think maybe it's going to be a decent flick, and there seems like a couple of good actors in it. But then you have a movie like Detroit that piques your interest because it just looks like a badass gangsta film. You know what I mean? And it's just like... Yeah, no, I mean, I said that. I didn't mean it to sound like that, but you know where I... Yeah, But I apologize. My bad. But like what I meant was, it just seemed like a badass, gritty sort of
Like a
shoot 'em
rough
out
and
kind of
tough
flick.
gun movie. I get you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it also piqued my interest, and I wanted to see it, and I couldn't decide. So I'm hoping you guys can make my mind up for me.
Well, hopefully I will win this one. I already know that I'm not going to because Ed is biased and loves Eric more. But I digress.
Hey.
No, but also, fans, we're doing something completely new. And this is the last thing that we're changing on everybody. This will be really fun for us. We're going to give you guys a more simple rating system. We have loved our rating system. We've done a rating system for over a year. But we're going to do something completely different now. We're going to do a simple 50-50, which is it worth to see the movie or is it not worth to see the movie? So it'll be a simple, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Because really, who cares about how much money you spend? It's your time and energy. Is it worth it? So we'll be doing that as well, guys, podcast show. But before we continue, if you guys are listening to this episode and have not listened to our sub-sister show, which is Movie Guys Podcast Presents Game of Thrones, it is a spoiler-filled show all about the recent Game of Thrones episode
reaction episodes.
Reaction episode hosted by Eric and Ed.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Eric had some personal issues last week, so Ed got a chance to have Adam from For Your Distraction and also Alice, I think her name was, right?
Allison, yeah. For everybody that hasn't yet checked us out, if you like Game of Thrones or not, it's really unique in the sense that a lot of other shows take a couple of days, do some research, and figure out what they want to say. What we do is the episode ends at 10 p.m. roughly Eastern every single Sunday, and at 10:01, Eric and I are on the chat with each other, and we're talking about and reacting to the show. And from our knowledge of, just watching the shows and the knowledge that we, go from some background, and there is some YouTube video watching going on because I didn't read the books, but it's just a reaction episode, and we absolutely have a good time. We watch the episode, we get drunk, and we just talk about Game of Thrones the minute after it happens. So all our emotions are raw, all our thoughts are raw, and we do apologize for any spoilers for anybody that hasn't listened. But we try to get the episode up as soon as possible. There's just sometimes we can't get them up for a day or so, but we try to get them out there as soon as possible.
So definitely check those out. So Ed, since you need to have Eric and I convince you, either Dark Tower or Detroit, who do you want to have go first to plead their case? Their opening statement will you have for their case of their movie?
Well, look, we can call it a plaintiff and defense kind of system here because I actually, going into the concept of which one I wanted to see, my first choice was Dark Tower. Of everything that I've read, everything that I know about the storylines, I wanted to see Dark Tower. So, of the two, Eric, I'd like to see you go first because I want you to plead your case.
All right. So, a few good things about this. So, I am a native of the area, not Detroit proper, but obviously northern suburbs, everybody. But still, the spirit of Detroit lives on many miles in all surrounding areas. I just the history, everything about Detroit, I love it. So I know very much of the time about the riots, 1967, about what's going on here. Catherine Bigelow directed this movie. She did obviously a lot of. She's Academy Award winner, right? Actually, Hurt Locker,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I believe so.
Zero Dark 30.
Mm-hmm.
This is James Cameron's ex-wife.
Yep. So she's good at what she does there. We got a strong cast with John Boyega, and it's a very. Obviously it's a piece of history. This isn't Black history. This isn't Detroit history. This is American history, and it's about one of the ugliest times of that time where. Racial tensions were high across the nation, and a lot of cities were tending to break out into riot. And it was just a matter of time because there was a lot of just bigotry that was going on with the surrounding police stations, with obviously with government too. So 67 is this is all quickly in the first like 5 minutes. They kind of give you this little quick catch up that there's racial tensions, and I believe this completely because I've seen many documentaries about this. After like that whole Southern slave thing kind of happened, a lot of people migrated north in hopes for a better life, and because the auto industry, manufacturing industry was in the Rust Belt, they all thought we're gonna move up there and get a better life. But it was actually just more modern day slavery. It sucks to say that, but that's actually just what it was. So, that being said, that's where it picks up. Racial tension. It picks up at the Blind Pig, where the police raid happened in the party,
Yeah.
and they take everybody out, and shit gets real.
Yeah,
I,
it
I,
does. It does.
it gets real hard, and then I mean, just so much happens in this. It's a real story about one incident in particular at a motel called the Algiers Motel,
Yeah.
and in that, which was predominantly, I guess, African American tenant or guests that were there, uh,
Okay.
they well, during a lockdown of the National Guard after they came in and locked everything down, they were locked in at this hotel and started to play around. And well, the incident is about what happened at this hotel that left 3 young men dead without really much of explanation for a few. And a bunch the witnesses they were just like these guys fucked us up, and how the police just kind of got away with it. That's the story.
Nice. Yep.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
well, again, racial tensions were real hard, and Detroit at this time, people don't understand. Like this was one of the worst riots in American history. Like 79 people dead that were accounted for. So it shows the starts of the streets of a trigger happy cop. And just how there was rioting and looting that was just going on in the city, and just how ugly it was. It turned out to be a war zone. I mean, like the National Guard was called in, the Army was called in at one point too. So you had three, like the police, National Guard, and Army all at the same time trying to control these riots, and how out of control it can get because you have 3 people trying to call shots here, and it just how messy of a fucking thing Detroit was. How the cells in the prisons or in holding were just filled like to capacity, like sardines, just thrown in there, just mash them in there, and how a great job they depicted of how the booking was so filled that they had people just sitting in the hallways. Nobody could get through the police stations because they were just taking every black man in, pretty much. They're just like, you look at you, you're coming in, you're arrested, you're arrested, you're arrested. And all this is real. The reason why you should watch this is because this was a big case, the Algiers Motel case, because the judge was a very known racist bigot, so you can probably guess what happens. But
Sure.
the reason why this was so good because Catherine Bigelow, there were survivors of this incident of the motel, and Catherine Bigelow reached out to the survivors and
Oh.
made sure to get details about this. In fact, so much so that the one of the girls, Hannah Murray, who plays Julie, one of the attendees at the motel, the real life Julie was on set the entire time during filming to
Oh
make
wow.
Oh
sure
wow.
that details were there. And yeah, and it's really just a fucked up thing. This is a serious movie, a piece of history. It's a woke movie. It's well, I mean, it really is
Yeah.
because
No, you
it's
right. Yeah.
hard fucking mistreatment, and it's just like you can't deny it's that. Anyway, it's that's what it is, and it's again sometimes it's difficult to watch because there are like torture scenes, verbal torture, and some games that are being played, interrogation tactics that are used. I said that this movie was kind of like Stanford Prison Experiment, mixed in with like oh, I used another movie and I forgot what it was, but it's kind of a mix of that, and where it's the authority beating down on the little guy, and it was a very real movie. So I liked this movie. I liked the characters that were in it. Everyone played their part magnificently. Um, surprised, did not know John Krasinski was in this movie, so I hate to spoil that one for you. But he popped out of nowhere, and it was very awkward because in an empty theater, almost. Well, there was, people around, but when he came up in a very dead, quiet theater, I went, "Oh," like that, and I felt like people were just like, "What the fuck did he just?"
I know, right?
Oh,
Well,
look
I
at oh, John
remember,
Krasinski.
I remember watching like a lot of History Channel stuff and seeing like the images of the tanks and like the police barricading down what was it, 12th Street. You know, like that. Those are very powerful images, and it was a really rough time. In the United States back in the '60s. I have my landlord's dad and I actually have become pretty close because we work together, and he tells me stories. And I live in Western Pennsylvania, which, in around here, and I hate to use the terminology, but there's a ton of hidden racism,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, I mean where I live, I grew up, Mercer County, Pennsylvania. There was an A&E special that had the largest it had the largest membership active in the 90s of the Ku Klux Klan in the United States. But nobody thinks about the northern industrial area like the, being being a racist area. Everybody stereotypes the South as people having Confederate flags and whatnot. I see just as, and I grew up in the South. Like I grew up partially in the South too. I grew up in North Carolina. I grew up in Florida, and you do see some but I see more diesel pickup trucks with an American flag and a Confederate flag hanging out the back of both of them than I did anywhere else, when I was a kid,
Sure.
living in rural North Carolina. So, like, I understand, to say I understand is not the case. I don't understand what it's like, but to hear the horror stories of things that have happened just based upon somebody's, skin color is just absurd to me. And so
There
that's
was a
so
good
things like that are
perspective.
very powerful.
There was good perspective in this movie at the end because you see what these kids have, what these the guests at the hotel like are going through, and what abuse
Mhm.
these cops. Detroit police, by the way, are the ones doing this, and it's a
Yeah.
great point because you see like the National Guard come in and be like, "What are they doing?" Okay, whoa, this is police. It's police business. We are out of here. You guys are doing this shit. And
Hmm.
same with state police. They'd come in and be like, "Whoa, what are you guys doing?" Okay, well that's you guys. We are out of here. You can leave us. We're state police is not going to be in the paper for this one. Goodbye. We're out of here.
Yeah.
Um, but it was
And
interesting
honestly,
perspective.
I'm sorry.
No, no, no. My
Go ahead.
point
Okay, go.
is uh, because the one thing you see after this that really it helped out a lot again for perspective is that one of the survivors, obviously after being horribly abused during during this long night, now he is scarred. Now he's every time when he sees kind of a white authoritarian figure, he hates that person or doesn't like him or he shies away from it or is there's just that part and so it's adding to it. It's a horrible cycle. To take away
Well,
someone's freedom.
yeah. I mean, I will say this. I'm not near as woke as I should be. Just to be honest. And it's any type of opportunity that I have to sort of experience different cultures like that. Is I would so I would say it's something that I'd love to take a part in and see in the movie. Um, like just to be honest, I mean, hearing stories about my family growing up. I grew up in an Italian family, and my grandpa told stories of the old mafia guys would knock on your door and say, "Hey, listen, I'm fucking your wife tonight, whether you like it or not."
Ooh,
And yeah, and so it was basically if you either were or you weren't back then, and those who weren't were terrorized by those who were in the Italian community. And coming to this country, a lot of Italian Americans, and I'm not trying to compare them. I'm not trying to. I'm just telling you my own personal experiences from that. And you've seen a lot of signs like Italians need not apply, and they wouldn't let them come to their own churches, so they built their own churches, and then they started their own construction companies and whatnot. So that's my small, minor knowledge of what it's like to be somewhat bigoted against, but it's not near what the African American community was. So I want to know, really, not firsthand. I want to be woke. You know what I mean? So that's why, so far your explanation of this movie really gives a firsthand knowledge of things that I want to now. I want to see the movie now based upon, Jordan, you're gonna have your fair shot. But like, he did a great job of explaining this movie, man. Like, so I gotta. It's just a personal level. Like, I want to know how we can, as a society, become better in these things,
Well, it's gonna be hard
and
to
how.
recover after seeing
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. I want to see it only because, the greatest phrase about history ever was those who do not know their history are doomed to repeat it. So I don't want that shit to happen. And based upon the culture in the United States right now, it's coming back to a head. It's coming close again. And we need to sort of figure out what we can do to not get there again. And maybe a movie like this can sort of see, if you can see it,
Well,
you can sort of,
this is
maybe know.
50-year anniversary, I think. That's this movie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think if we get maybe more attention brought to it, that would. I think that was the subtitle, I think, for this movie, Detroit. It's time people know, or
Really?
yeah, I think that's what it is. And I mean, what a better story than one that's driven just surely by racism. Like that's.
Hmm.
There's, I mean, other movies may have, oh, well, you're from this country. I mean, you're, this religion, I'm that religion, I just say country, but like from medieval times or something like that too. But this one's just like they're doing it just out of, just blatant hate for each other.
Yeah.
It's for one for the other, I should say.
Well, let's slip into the other movie because it's getting a little serious, for a movie podcast, and I'll be honest with you, Eric. I mean, you've done a great job of convincing me. Jordan, I was on your side to begin with because I thought the movie itself, I didn't know what Detroit was about. We try to make it a point to not know too much about the movies we're going into. That was round one, and I think Eric put you on the ground twice. So you need to step your game up, buddy. So convince me. Tell me
Yeah,
why.
convince me too.
Yeah, tell me why Dark Tower is I should see it over Detroit.
Well, first of all, Eric, your description is adorable, cute. I remember my first beer.
Okay.
Wow.
Second of all, can I compete against American history? No, I'm not going to be able to convince you to go see a movie that is written by a cocaine heroin addict, alcoholic, compared to a movie about American history. However, though, it is about one of the worst cities in the United States and compared to the greatest novelist of all time. So, anywho, Dark Tower is not by far, no means, the best movie in the world. It's by far not the best movie that we are ever going to see in Movie Guys podcast history. It is probably one of the worst stories ever told in this movie. However, though, the difference between Dark Tower and between Detroit is that you have an African-American male who is the lead star with no racism. That's the big difference, first of all, right? You have
Okay.
you have an African-American who is the main star, who was a gunslinger. So what a gunslinger is a gunslinger is these badass guys who can never miss, that are just the baddest hombres on the planet, essentially. However, though, it's other dimensions. What's really cool, too, about this is that the Dark Tower has the main bad guy as, the Man in Black, which is also, some people would argue, the main villain in The Stand, and also people would argue too that he's also Pennywise from It.
Okay.
So you got
Okay.
some world building here, and Ed, I know that you like Stephen King, probably not as much as I do, but my God, this is the prettiest Stephen King film you'll ever see. We'll see what happens when it comes out in a few weeks.
I don't know.
But this
The
is-
Langoliers was pretty beautiful.
Please.
No, no,
Hey,
it
listen,
wasn't.
you had you had sky eating Pac-Man
Yeah.
I
in the
understand.
Langoliers.
They were eating
I understand.
time or.
Yeah, they
So-
they were eating time and the world. Yeah, go ahead, Jordan. I'm sorry.
No, but it's interesting because the guy who plays the gunslinger, I can never say his name right. The African American, he's not
Idris Elba.
African American. Thank you. He's Daniel Craig has officially signed on to do one more Bond film, but this guy is supposed to be taking over the reins in the Nolan remakes of Bond.
I'm excited for it.
Wait,
He's
wait,
not in
wait.
yet.
Pause. Time out. Did you really just tell me that Chris Nolan is redoing Bond?
Well, he's not technically redoing Bond. He's continuing the story after Daniel Craig.
Motherfucker! God damn it! Continue. You just ruined my
I
night.
forgot how much you like him. And Idris Elba isn't African American. He's just good looking.
He's just African.
No,
he's just African.
Yeah, he's from the UK, isn't he?
But is he?
He's fucking
he's from the UK.
Gorgeous, man. That guy's. Oh, I got a man crush on him.
But wow. The difference between Detroit and Dark Tower is that
hold you tight.
Hold you tight. Talk to you.
He used to be a DJ too, so he can spin me right around.
Nice 80s reference. Oh my God. No, I just look at the end of the day. What are you in the mood for? And are you in a mood to go see a movie that is real? That, oh my God, this has happened, like a Selma, or of course this movie, Detroit, or do you want to go into a sci-fi fantasy world with a boy and his dog essentially, and going across evil, just trying to stop evil? Because what the Dark Tower is, if the Dark Tower falls, then all the dimensions collide and the Man in Black take over everything. Do you really want Matthew McConaughey being the leader of everything? I don't know.
All right.
I guess we should say that if it was worth it or not. I mean, I guess from that part. I mean, I said Detroit is worth it, but just to add on to Jordan's point, yeah, you do need to be in the kind of mood for it. This ain't a comedy here, so.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, again though. Eric, you had some very good points. You had a very good argument. My argument is just simply this. It's a Stephen King movie, so you know what you're going to get. It was a fun time. It was not a great movie. Does it deserve the 19% of Rotten Tomatoes? No, fellas. It does not deserve a 19% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's bullshit. Hell, I just saw the Emoji Movie yesterday, and that does not deserve 7%. It's not good. It's terrible. But it's better than 7%. I've seen worse. We've reviewed worse. So, no.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
So,
The Room, by the way.
Making that into Seth Green and all that, we're making into a movie. All right, we're digressing. That's my fault.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, that's my closing argument is, do you want to go and see a movie that's a Stephen King movie where you got good versus evil and a boy in trouble, kind of like an E.T. kind of thing, and is he going to make it? Is he not going to make it? And great special effects and beautiful cinematography. Or do you want to see a movie that is good all the way around, like Detroit, but you leave there wanting to go home and turn your bathroom into another 13 Reasons? I don't want to do that.
Also, to make a point here that will probably help the decision, The Dark Tower is 1 hour 35 minutes. Detroit is 2 hour 23 minutes.
Yes.
So, Jordan, let me ask you.
And it feels like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Do they put 12 books into an hour and a half?
So, first of all, there's not 12 books. There's 7 books.
There's 7 books.
And yes and no. Some people have argued that this is the 8th book. Some people have argued that they do the greatest hits of all 7 books. I'm leaning towards more that side where they do the greatest hits, because the gunslinger is not a major character and I'm going to be completely fucking destroyed on this, so I apologize, but I believe the gunslinger doesn't even come in until the fucking 2nd book. So, they do cherry pick. You know what this is? Dark Tower is, and this is a bad comparison, but Gavin, give me an idea. It is the Friday the 13th remake in 2009, where they took the greatest hits of the first 4 Friday the 13th and made a movie out of it.
All right.
That's kind of what Dark Tower is. They took the greatest hits.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. Like, both of you, it depends what you're in the mood for. It depends sort of where you're leaning. I do have to say this though, like something like Stephen King's writings, other than a couple of books, or excuse me, a couple of movies, like his books have not translated well into film.
What are you talking about?
And you got It, and you've got, like that really and truly, I mean, what the fucking Green Mile, right?
Well, none
You
of
know what
his
I'm?
books have. When you say translated well, what happened was, let's just go on an it here, and I'm gonna slow down my nerd boner a little bit. But the director of the original It TV show in the '90s when we were growing up, he even admitted he never read the book, and he
Oh,
wished he
Jesus.
did because Pennywise, the clown that we all know, the famous clown, is actually not even really in the novel. I have been reading the novel recently to prepare for the Stephen King It episode in a few weeks. And what it actually is in the novel, it is actually whatever its victim is afraid of.
Like
Period.
a Bogart.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, one kid's afraid of, the mummy from the 30s, and it comes up like that. Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption, that short story, barely that movie had anything to do with the short story. So, what you're seeing with Stephen King stuff, Ed, to go on your question, is people take the titles of his books and they kind of spin off and do their own thing.
Pet
To be
Sematary.
quite honest with you, yes, quite honest with you, the only movie that stayed like almost true, like 90% true, would be Cujo. They changed one thing, and that was the ending. Other than that, Cujo was pretty faithful.
Okay.
Because if you guys have never seen Cujo, if you have seen Cujo, you have the mom and the son and the dog traps and blah blah blah. Well, at the end of the book, the son actually dies of dehydration, so the mom's alone. In the movie, she revives the boy. That's the only difference, really.
Oh. Well, yeah.
Oh,
okay.
But so Stephen King has great works, and his movies, by and large, are pretty fucking solid. I mean, come on, guys. See, The Shining, fellas. Do I need to continue? The Shining.
Yeah. Well,
No, I mean,
that's different. That's different.
I know it's different, damn it, but I'm trying to win. Fuck off.
The Shining is completely different. The Kubrick one is different. So they redid it for the TV one, so you can put that one in your pipe and smoke it, or I'll smoke it for you.
Yes, but it's still classified as a Stephen King movie, so
No, that one's a Stanley Kubrick movie.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of, like, when you're talking about Stanley Kubrick movies versus Stephen King movies, you don't, like, I didn't even think until you just reminded me that The Shining was a Stephen King book. Not that I knew that it wasn't, but I didn't even think about it. I thought of it as a Stanley Kubrick movie. And, I mean, you do have some movies that, like, you can get anything Hallmark Channel. Most of Stephen King's movies are Hallmark Channel quality films. Like, you get a few, like, there are a few great ones, but of the non-top tier, okay, and I'll include The Shining because it is technically, a Stephen King story. You know, uh, Everything below that top tier, Green Mile, like, then they're all just bad. There's not even like a second tier that can qualify because for other than for the basement. Like, I made a comment about the Langoliers. That story is an awesome story, and it translates really well in your own imagination. But then you see the dude from, then you see the fucking dude from the Green Mile, the big guy, not John Coffey,
Michael
but
Clark Duncan.
not him. I'm talking about the big white boy who played the nice prison guard, other than Tom Hanks, in the Green Mile, was the pilot in the Langoliers, and like the Langoliers, the movie itself, you watch it, it's just like, this is a terrible fucking movie. It's really like, basically, if Stephen King writes a book, they just hire the most rookie of screenwriters to write a script, and the most rookie of directors to put to the movie, because they know people are going to go see it because it says Stephen King's on it. So, I will say this: I'm glad that there's at least some level. You mentioned cinematography. You mentioned there's some pretty decent acting in it. Like Matthew McConaughey, for all his quirks, he's been in some bad movies. The stuff he's good in, he's incredible. Dallas Buyers Club, he was great. What was it? True Detective, incredible. Mud, he's awesome in Mud. And that's a very underrated movie, Mud. So, you do have some top level actors, at least billing in this movie. So, you at least have some sort of credibility. But I will say this, Jordan. I mean, in terms of this particular conversation, you got to show me some passion, brother. You've seen both. Like, you got to tell me why of the two I should see one versus the other. Because right now, Eric's story about the movie, not just the movie itself, he's convincing me more, man. You gotta step your game up, brother.
All right, fine. It's as simple as this, and I've talked way too much. It is simply this. It is based off of your mood. Eric had an amazing opening argument, but my argument is always this: do you want to go in the theater with a bucket of popcorn, or do you want to go in the theater with a box of tissues? I don't want to go in there with a box of tissues. I want to go in there with a box, with a nice free box of popcorn. Not saying that Detroit's bad. It's good. I enjoyed it. Am I going to buy it on Blu-ray? Probably. I enjoyed the movie. It's a really good movie.
It felt 2.5 hours. It was a long
Yeah.
drama.
It felt long, but I want to be entertained. I mean, my life, and on a personal note, my life's not awesome outside of Movie Guys podcast. Everybody goes through ups and downs. All of us do. So I don't want to go to a movie and feel worse than what I did when I walked in.
Yeah.
Right now.
That's a good point.
But that's just my point. But you as an individual have to choose on that. Like, what mood do I want to see? But my last little paragraph: Detroit is a better movie than Dark Tower. Absolutely. Better directed, better acted, better everything across the board. It's a better movie than Dark Tower.
It's very raw.
Yes.
Well,
But
off of that point, what would you both say? And Jordan, you sort of started with it. So Eric, I want you to start this segment. What would you say were the downsides of each movie? Like, what made it feel, as you said, you felt every minute of the 2.5 hours for Detroit? And Jordan, what would you say were some of the reasons maybe why you didn't necessarily 100% feel it was the better directed or acted of the two?
Well, because they try to do the greatest hits. You don't make the Dark Tower and call it the Dark Tower, and then just do the greatest hits in just the one movie. You don't do that. You do the first book or maybe the second book combined in the one movie, and that's it. So for people who are not either a fan of Stephen King, for people who have seen Stephen King movies but never read Stephen King's books, this was a bad movie to get on. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you haven't seen Stephen King's movies, but you read his books, you wouldn't like it, and vice versa. If you never read his books and you've seen all of his movies, you'd be like, dude, like, it's just, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't want to make you go and read the books. I've read the books, but that's my issue. It's this. And how dare I compare the movie to the book, because they're always fucking different. However, though, The Dark Tower is considered to be, like, besides The Stand, like Stephen King's, like, baby. You know what I mean? Because he made 7 of them. He's never done that with any other of his novels.
Okay.
And they just kind of fucked it up. Really, they just kind of fucked it up.
All right, Eric, what would you say, are some of the downsides of Detroit?
There was maybe a few things that maybe they could have cut out. I felt like there was a lot of cool things. Like, they used real footage, so they actually used like actual millimeter footage or 30 fucking footage, home reels of like of a lot of the riots and stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it was just really it was longer than it needed to be, and but I mean it's fucking rough, man, because there's a lot of details that in that part in the hotel or in the motel when they're actually doing that. There's a lot of detail you don't want to leave out on, and the after effect was a lot of it too. I mean, what would I fucking leave out? It's rough. I don't know. It's like one of those where it's just long. Like, I know it's gonna be a long ride, but I kind of went through it anyway. There was a lot of uncomfortable moments just because of what they did, And I very much compare it to the Stanford Prison Experiment, because in your head, going into it, that this is real. But they had said after that a lot of the stuff was over embellished, or it was kind of filled in. They filled in a lot of blanks. They did the best that they could, is what they were trying to say. You know,
Okay.
maybe they could have highlighted on a few other things without it being so much. It being just about the Detroit police, because they didn't mention anything about the army coming in to break things up, and they didn't mention anything about how they would have to organize sectors. So the Detroit police had this neighborhood, had control of these 5 neighborhoods. The National Guard had control of these 5 neighborhoods, and the Army had control of these 8 neighborhoods. They didn't mention so that was historically a little bit inaccurate. So there's maybe a few things there.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, as far as anything go, I mean, the story's pivotal, and everything. It seemed to be very necessary, and it gave you real pictures and real updates from the characters after the movie. Because again, these are real characters. Um, oh, here's an interesting fact that I think they could have been lost in the message too. John Boyega's character, um, Dismukes or whatever his name is, who played the security guard who just kind of happened to be there and was criticized in his life for being an Uncle Tom. At the end of the movie, they had said that he had gotten a lot of death threats. And what they failed to leave out is that those death threats were from the Black Panthers.
Okay.
So, like, I felt that would have been negative towards the message they were trying to give. I get that, but that's a pretty big detail, is that the death threats that he had gotten were from African American communities for him being an Uncle Tom, because he was on trial with the rest of the police officers, too.
Hmm.
Dude, it's like, again, it's just one of those, I think the only bad thing about this movie, because everything else was just really well acted, it was just long, man. Like, there are parts where, yeah, I remember I'm just like adjusting in my chair, and I feel like if I were to be watching this at home, I would probably have to do it in 2 parts. Jordan, help me out. Would there be anything in this movie that, besides, I guess, the time that you would feel was unnecessary or that needed to be removed or that you just didn't like?
Well, this may be totally unpopular, but it's John Boyega right now. That's not the only issue I have with the movie, but right now I think that everybody kind of likes him because, Finn from Star Wars.
Sure.
He has 2 more movies on that. I didn't really see him act much or act that well in Force Awakens. This was better than his performance in Force Awakens, but I don't see the it factor yet in him as an actor. So I can't follow him through any of his journeys that he currently goes through as an actor in any of his careers.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure him out right now. 2, it is long. I didn't check the runtime on the movie. It was one of those movies that I should have checked the runtime because I was way late to pick up Riley from the babysitter because it was like, oh, fuck. Because you think a movie like Dark Tower would be like fucking 3 hours long. You know? Yeah, definitely felt the length. The violence overall does not bother me at all. I know it bothers some people. That I know that the reason why my wife didn't want to see this movie with me is because she didn't want to see, the white on black, black on white violence. But I'm a firm believer that stuff needs to be shown. So, like Ed said earlier in the episode, so we don't repeat it. The movie overall, though, was just strong. My last complaint is I'm just not a fan of the director. She is James Cameron's ex-wife. I feel that she's only in the business because of who she was married to. And I don't feel that she has, even though her movies are Oscar winners, I don't really feel that she has a very good movie that defines her as a director yet. And I don't think that she has a very good merit as a director. I just think she gets thrown into movies because of who she is. I'd rather see her do something more small and see where she goes from there. So my issues are John Boyega, the runtime, and definitely the director. I got to see more of those individuals. My issues.
Okay.
Okay. I respect that. I mean, at least you're being honest about it. Really.
Yeah, well, that's why we do it. So now here comes the point of the show where everybody who's listening to this right now is chomping at the bit. We got to figure this out. Ed, who won? Eric or me? What movie are you going to go see tonight? Is it
Well-
Detroit or is it Dark Tower?
Drum
Well,
roll.
as I said, I went into this wanting to have seen Dark Tower more. I wish I would have. Going into this conversation, but based upon everything you've said, based upon my feelings about certain films, and Eric, I just think your argument was better. I mean, I'm picking Detroit. I think Eric, you won, dude.
I think it's just a better movie. It was a hard watch, but like
yeah, I mean, I'm
there's
okay.
a lot,
I'm
lot of
okay
good
with
facts around it. It's history. That's why I think it's hard to compete. If it was a better Dark
Right.
Tower movie, I'm sure that it was a piece then that would have been. But
Yeah, no, like I'm okay with hard watches. I mean, if I go into a film knowing what it is, if I know that Detroit's a hard watch, and I know that Dark Tower is like a fun-ish kind of watch, it doesn't matter what mood I'm in. I can shape myself to the film.
sure.
So, my number one goal is better movie. What is the better film? What was better acted in? What was better directed? What was better written? And I think you guys both sort of admit that maybe that Dark Tower was prettier to watch, but I'm not worried about easier to watch. Prettier to watch is okay. But in terms of your guys' conversation, your guys' arguments, I think you both sort of agreed that Dark Tower was the better, Detroit was the better film of the two. And even though it's 2.5 hours and it felt like every bit, I think it only felt like that because the director and everything did their job. They made it hard to watch on purpose
There you go.
because it wasn't easy. It was hard to go through. So why should the movie be easy to watch?
True that.
Those are artists doing their, performing their art. That is, people performing their job to perfection. So, again, Eric, I think that you're right on point. I'd love to. I've switched my thought, and I would go. It has nothing to do with my thoughts on either of you. Just like I think Eric won the argument.
Fair enough.
And,
Anthony Mackie is in this movie. This is his second Catherine Bigelow movie.
Yes. He is in this movie.
Do you guys want to know some other Detroit facts that was along with this movie?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
The first guy that was killed in this movie, if you know what I'm talking about, I don't want to say his name for spoilery reasons or something like that, but the first guy that was shot in the hotel, upon actual records, stated statements and something like that, everyone had said, that he was dead before everything happened. So nobody knows
okay,
for
so he
certain.
wasn't.
Yeah, nobody knows for certain if the police shot him or who shot him. But the tenants came down, or the guests, and everyone, and they were gathering people up, and they said that he was dead before it. All accounts of that. So we don't know for certain if the police killed him, but it's very very possible that he could have been dead before all this, just by coincidence.
So there were some definite artist liberties taken.
But again, we don't know. But out of Catherine Bigelow did in fact talk to the survivors, many of which who still live in or around the city. Julie Heisel or something like that. So the two girls that were there, a lot of people think that they were prostitutes in the hotel. They were actually just there for a concert, and they were supposed to be on their way back. They were just staying at the hotel because it was the cheapest motel. It was the only one that was available that would during the riots. But they were there during a concert, and so they were not prostitutes. And they, I guess, you know what? No, they were groupies. I guess you could probably say
So
that.
they were as I mentioned earlier, they were what my grandfather would have called putana a diablo.
There you go.
Really means slut.
I love being German. Then
Well, we all know you love your wiener schnitzels.
you Irish, you Italian piece of crap. Anyway.
Italian.
I praised their attention to detail, as a lot of these stuff just seemed to look. It looked like it was filmed in parts. Oh, it was in Hamtramck, which is by Detroit, but it still has the same structure, same building. So yeah, I wish it would have shown a little bit more of the after effect too, because
Good point.
what really sucks about 12th Street is that, as you saw in the movie, it was pretty big. Like there was a lot of buildings, there was businesses, there was restaurants, there was stores, there's a lot of shit. There's nothing now. It's all demolished. It's all just empty lot, green,
Yeah.
empty lot. There's nothing. So
Well, isn't that a lot of Detroit though? I mean, other than like you've got your main downtown levels, like you got your GM building, Comerica Park, the new Red Wings
there are
and
still bones that are around, but there are none. They've been completely demolished. It's open. It's open development.
okay.
Yeah, which I've seen when I was up in Detroit a month ago.
So I mean, there's a lot of old structures that still stand, and though they look condemned, they could still, and they are being renovated to be repaired. But nope, for a lot of parts of the riots, they just were just like, no, they've been burnt down to the ground. And they just wiped them all clean.
Yeah.
Soul Brother,
Well,
spray painted everywhere. Because
well,
that meant that the store owner was black owned, and so don't riot, don't loot me. That's what that meant. It didn't
Brother.
work. It didn't work. They
Didn't work.
still looted them.
So, Ed, I'm glad that you have come to a conclusion of what movie you're going to see, and we hope that you enjoy Detroit. And not only do we hope that you enjoyed Detroit, but we hope everybody enjoyed listening to this conversation. I had a hell of a good time, fans. I had a great time. This was one of my favorite episodes I've ever done with Movie Guys. And we hope that you guys enjoyed this episode as well. Make sure to check us out, though, on these other forums. Check us out on movieguyspodcast.com. Check us out on iTunes, which is at Movie Guys Pod. And search us on Facebook, Movie Guys Podcast. And our another source that you can find us all on is on Podbean. Search movieguyspodcast.podbean.com. On iTunes, search Movie Guys Podcast. And if you just Google it, you'll find us. Trust me, I've done it a few times. So that's me. But anywho, everybody, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And we'll make sure to talk to everybody next week for Annabelle Creation. Have a good night.